You already gonna pull the trigger on me like that?
No, I just wanted to see if we said anything hilarious that the folks needed to see.
Never needed to see. Hi, folks. Laura Morgan here from Georgia.
Do you have a problem with my shirt?
I like your shirt. It was more muscular a second ago.
Oh.
It was like up here. I was like, man, that's like putting it out there.
Showing out my guns.
Yeah, you need one of those bandanas on, you know, like was it the 50s style, like empowered woman?
Oh my! Oh
You
yeah.
know, like
We Can Do It.
no, it's what was her name?
We
It was
Can Do
World
It.
War II. I'm sorry, it was she had a name. She'd be out there with tools, like when the guys were out fighting the war. She was like
Oh really?
Rosie the Riveter. Boom. That's some history for you guys.
That's
Call you Rosie for this session.
beyond my age.
They covered that in school, regardless of what your age might have been. Isn't that
Rosie,
weird?
she's probably fake. Do you like my hair up or down?
It's hard to see on screen. I don't think they can have an opinion about it. But me personally, I like it always.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like always down or something.
No, I like it. It's always fresh and new and different. And,
It always is clean. I'll give you that.
well, that's something, right?
I don't know about fresh, new, and different.
Anyways, hey everybody, Sean from The Good Dog, and we've got the lovely Laura Morgan, who's also known as Rosie the Riveter. This session, well, we're teaching her about Rosie the Riveter because apparently they didn't cover that in her, class or history class. Welcome back, guys. It was a good Q&A last week. Some folks added some nice comments about the question of the week, which was
Pastry.
favorite pastry. So we got some good ones. We got some that I'm not even familiar with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Check that
So
out.
there was, the cannoli I'm very familiar with.
Ooh.
Intimately familiar with
I
the
am
cannoli.
intimately familiar as well.
No, I'm too much. I'm going to just turn this a little bit. Okay. Hopefully we don't lose everything. Somebody had an interesting cake. I can't remember what it was. It was some high-tech contraption with buttercream frosting, and you can't ever go wrong with buttercream.
No. You can't go wrong with any, like, vanilla frosting stuff.
Buttery goodness.
Yeah. Just butter in general.
So thanks for answering the questions, guys. Appreciate it. We're going to try and come up with some. We don't have a question of the day actually even like engineered for this.
Not
one.
yet,
We'll have
but
to see
we'll
if it
come up with one.
spontaneously comes to us.
Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie, you ready to jump into
Maybe that should be
this?
the actual question. Who honestly knows who that is?
I like this. I like it. And,
Honestly.
And guys and ladies, everybody who knows this, come right out. Don't feel bad.
Don't.
If you feel like you're going to make Laura feel bad that everybody in the world knows who Rosie the Riveter is, don't feel bad. Support
She's a
me.
fictional
Just put it
character.
out there.
She's gotta be. They didn't teach her about her in history because she's probably from a TV commercial.
She was part of a whole kind of propaganda campaign to get women
girl who said,
involved in
"We can do it?"
in industry and going out. It was more important than just, it wasn't like Superman. Or
Yeah, but she
something
was
like that.
fake. She was a symbol.
Yes, she was a symbol.
Look at our human encyclopedia is nodding. That means I'm smarter than
She was a symbol, absolutely. No one said that Rosie was real,
you. Oh, okay.
but Rosie had a purpose in history.
The
that
one
was
who
beyond.
says we can do it, right? With the bandana. Am I
think
right,
so.
guys?
Yeah.
Sean said, no, that's what Sean said.
Oh! This is what up in flames. And I won't even bring up the fact that a certain somebody sitting next to me
Oh my
is
gosh.
a college grad, and this guy
Why
didn't
does that matter?
didn't make it.
It doesn't matter at all.
You should have a more thorough education.
No.
than
I studied
should.
economics. We don't study those stupid things.
Guys, we're going to move on along now that she's insulted half of
Everyone.
our population out there, including...
Everyone in the world.
Are you done?
I am.
Okay, cool.
I'm defensive and sad.
She's
and
defensive
lonely.
about anything she doesn't know about, so that's her MO.
All right.
Go ahead.
Number 1
Oh.
from Katie Myers. Katie says,
What fictional character during World War II inspired legions of women to go out and,
I love
and
how Michelle
participate in
just was like-
industry? All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Katie Myers says, what are some good protocols
Katie.
or exercises to increase a dog's confidence? I know people usually say agility, but I don't see you guys use that. Or I see you guys don't use that. Curious says, my dog is, he's slightly insecure and I'd like to nip that in the bud. She's pretty obedient and e-collar trained, so anything is possible for us. Nice.
Katie. Okay, Katie. So this has been like, for whatever reason, it's been a topic of lots of discussion on the Good Dog page. We just covered it. Somebody asked, I think Gary, I can't remember Gary's last name, but Gary, I think he's in Australia, asked about confidence building, and I think I alluded to it, and so then he pulled me out and I had to like actually write up a whole Good Dog tip about it. So we covered it, and I wrote a couple notes just to make sure I don't forget, which maybe somebody else should have done in history class. But moving on. So the most important thing we do is not like, we don't do agility stuff here. We don't do, like extracurricular activities to try and like... Now you're going to burp to really insult them?
It was a hiccup.
So just the basic training protocols and program that we go through is our biggest confidence building approach. So there isn't anything that we're like, okay, we've got an insecure dog. It's time to build confidence.
Yeah.
We do the same basic approach, same foundational training techniques with all the dogs that come through here. And all the dogs end up building confidence and working through issues. So the main gig is that we're looking to get the training. Say you've got an insecure dog, a fearful dog, nervous dog, aggressive dog. It could be a lot of different things. We're using the training to override those initial impulses, right? So if your dog is fearful and likes to run away anytime it feels pressured or uncomfortable, then we use training, place command, recall, things like that to override that dog's initial impulse to flee the scene, to escape pressure, and get them to actually learn that they can tolerate it on their own and that they're okay and that nothing bad happens. So that's a real simplification of it, but that's a big part of it. If you can think about using training, leveraging training to override whatever the dog's impulse is that's troubling it, that causes it to want to flee, and then we use the training to say, you can't flee, you got to hang here, you got to be in place. Or if they're nervous about people, you can use recall stuff to actually get them to recall to you, and that helps build confidence because typically really fearful dogs, all they want to do is run away. So the e-collar kind of flips the script because dogs' perception, this is kind of a juicy one, but dogs' perception that are fearful or nervous is that the further I am away from you, the more comfortable I am. But you can use the e-collar to flip that and say, I'm going to actually make it mildly uncomfortable for you to be far away from me, but as you get closer to me, the e-collar goes off, and then you actually flip the psychological perception of the dog that being next to me is really comfortable.
Right.
Which starts to create positive associations, which blows a lot of people's minds because they don't think you can use the e-collar for fearful, nervous dogs in a positive sense like that, but we do it all the time. And so getting dogs over a cycle they're stuck in of fear, anxiety, nervousness, whatever, and using the training to override that is huge. But a big part of that is that the training isn't soft and negotiable, and that doesn't mean the training's hard and ass-kicking either, but it means that as we're moving through the process, we're teaching, but we start to set rules, and these rules, it's really important that these rules are non-negotiable. Rules that are negotiable, training that is negotiable, training that is soft or is loosey-goosey or are hopeful that the dog might interact or engage is going to create opportunities for the dog to resist, and those opportunities will cause more friction, more resistance, and more stress in the dog, which will perpetuate the cycle. So non-negotiable rules, once the dog is fairly taught, is a big part of that program, to where they stop. If you can think about it, when the rules become really non-negotiable and you pattern the dog long enough like that, they stop resisting and they just get with the new program. I used to run away. I don't run away anymore. I haven't been allowed to run away for 2 weeks. Every time I want to run away, they call me, and so I just do this, and that becomes the new pattern. So, so that's a big part of it. And then e-collar obviously is a huge aid in this because there's another psychological component. Tell me to shut up because I'm going a long time, but
fine.
There's another psychological component. This is kind of important stuff. This other psychological component of the e-collar is that it causes the dogs to feel like they're doing the work rather than the work being done to them. Mm-hmm. So if I've got a dog that's fearful of me and I put it on a long line and a prong collar and I start, reeling the dog in like, I'm a good guy, come on over here. And we've got that same perception of fear of me and it's comfortable to be away from me, and then I'm trying to change that by drawing the dog close, what happens is the dog is actually being forced or compelled to do this in a way that feels very forced and compelled and obligatory by the dog in a negative way, versus where the e-collar, the dog is feeling the sensation, has a leash there to guide it, but the dog is actually doing 99% of the work to do forward motion towards whatever the target me might be that the dog's nervous about. So the e-collar, being able to correct at a distance and cause the dog to do the work rather than the dog perceiving that the work is being done to it, is a huge part of confidence building. So I think that's I'm pretty proud of that. It's a pretty good description off the cuff.
Yeah.
But I think if you can kind of really grab onto that, that really explains how we build confidence here without doing a lot of other kind of nothing wrong with any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people are using it and it works really well for them. That's great. Excuse me, but we don't get into all that other stuff. We just do our program, and the way we do it, specifically tailored towards the dog, tends to create those really nice confidence building results.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Rosie?
Well,
Who's that?
all right. Funny. Question number 2. Give me 1 second. This is from
Down.
Carrie Brewster.
Hey, Carrie.
Like Punky Brewster.
Oh, could be a cousin.
Is that your cousin?
Could be a cousin.
Tell us in the comments if that's your cousin. It'd be awesome.
I was a Punky fan.
Me too. Big time. How do you train a dog not to be possessive of food? Guarding, growling, intimidating the other dogs in the household.
We have a guy that is going home. He'll be gone. He'll be home by the time you watch this. Named Rusty. Rusty came for some of the same exact things, resource guarding around people, but primarily around dogs, toys and space, and even people and things like that. So our go-to, it sounds like a broken record, but our go-to is always foundation work. And so all the stuff we talked about building confidence in the last question actually causes dogs to be in a better state of mind, more confidence, more stability, and also firmer rules and understanding about where they sit in the pack, causes most dogs to just stop resource guarding. So from the moment that Rusty got here and we started laying down some rules and non-negotiable, rules and structure, the resource guarding, it didn't make sense anymore. He's like, I resource guard when it feels like there's some flexibility and give in the world and I can kind of push it. But in this world, he's like, that doesn't make any sense. These guys aren't going to let me resource guard. So he hasn't even tried it. So now if you have regular resource guarding with if you're doing foundation work, and hopefully you guys all know what I mean by foundation work because you can go to our website and look at all of our videos. But if you're doing foundation work and still having problems in a more severe case, then with people, we teach the out command. We do waiting for food, and then we teach the out command, get the dog rock solid about outing around food at your verbal command. We use the e-collar for that, and it works like a charm. For dog stuff, like with Rusty, once I got him confident and comfortable, I started bringing my dogs around and then spreading food out around them, lots of kibble around them, and letting everybody just kind of mingle and eat together while watching, I almost called him Rosie, watching Rusty the Riveter, watching him to make sure he was going to behave himself. Now, if Rusty would have made a bad choice, I'd be ready to correct him firmly. I'd have the e-collar at a very high level, and that choice to attack or correct a dog, if deemed inappropriate by me, which it probably would be, I would correct very firmly, and then Rusty would say, wow, that choice to resource guard doesn't really make sense. It's uncomfortable. Let me try and make another choice. And he might be uncomfortable for a little while as he tries to transition through that into accepting it. But that would be my first approach. And then more foundation work, getting the mind right? Why do dogs resource guard? Because they think they can, because they're insecure, because, whatever, all these gaps in the relationship and the structure. So typically that's where it comes from. Yes, there's extreme cases of resource guarding, but those, like I said, tend to be more extreme. So that's how we did it. Foundation work, then brought my dogs around and started spreading kibble out. If I didn't trust Rusty, if I was nervous about Rusty, and there's been plenty of dogs I have been nervous about, then I muzzle the dog up. I make sure they're muzzle conditioned, and then I muzzle them up, and then I do that work around, and so that way I can keep dogs safe. So if you have any doubt in your mind, muzzle the dog up that you're working with to keep them safe, then bring other dogs around, spread kibble around. If the dog makes a mistake, then the dog gets corrected with the e-collar pretty firmly to say, don't make that mistake anymore.
That. Yep.
Cool? Rosie, you like that one?
This is not question number 3.
Okay.
This is actually a just for fun update from Jennifer Lloyd.
I like these updates.
She says, I want to thank you both for featuring my question on episode 12 Q&A. Your guys gave me a very detailed explanation, and I'm happy to report that I no longer have any problems with my dog breaking place command when people come over to the house.
You don't say.
Yes!
Fantastic.
He now takes me seriously, and I've noticed his behavior become a lot more respectful overall, and we're now working on the heel. Wish me luck.
Yes, we wish you luck. That's so awesome.
So
Thanks.
cool, Jennifer.
Thanks so much for reporting it in too.
Yeah,
you know,
we love hearing that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people out there doing stuff and they don't always have time or remember to let us know, but we really appreciate it when people do, because that's why we do all this stuff. So it's pretty cool when we get these good reports that things are going well.
Yeah, thanks
Awesome.
so much. Awesome.
Yeah.
Question 3. This is from Heather Sears.
Hey,
Our
Heather.
girl Heather.
Is
Okay.
she related to the Sears family?
Do you own the
'Cause
store?
I could use some tools.
I could use a dishwasher. Let us know in the comments below.
Let's talk, Heather. Free dog training
Free question and answers.
for a midnight shopping spree. Places closed
Closing
as much as you can carry. Clutch and carry.
Okay, Heather Sears. Okay,
Sorry,
hi guys. First off, I love watching your Q&As. You always make me smile with your witty banter.
Oh. Wow.
Hey, we fed into it.
Wow.
So I've been working on how Izzy, her 9-month yellow lab, greets people. She's on a prong collar.
Uh-oh. No, guys, we lost her. It was just, it was that quick. We just lost her.
No,
What
I
happened?
was just thinking about Rachel the bear.
Rachel survived the last Q&A and let us have it with her real name. She wasn't mad.
No,
she gave us
was
her
like,
real nickname.
she's
her
like,
real
I've heard a
name.
lot of them, but I've never heard the bear.
Nothing as stupid as what you guys say.
Okay, sorry, Heather, or Rachel and Heather. Okay,
Rachel the bear.
Rachel the bear and Heather Sears department store. Call us. Okay. So I've been working on how Izzy greets people. She's on a prong collar, and I make her place him down when people come after her. And when
after her?
no, when people come
one
after
in the
she has
house.
calmed down, What? I
Can we
can't
have
get rid
people
of this.
not chase your dog around?
She's on a prong collar, and I make her place him down when people come. After she has calmed down, I let her go and visit, but she still pushes all over them and uses her body to push them around, even if it's kids.
Right.
Getting
that kind of
ready,
stuff.
yes, getting ready to switch her to a remote collar soon, and just want to know how to correct her on this before I switch, and before I make the switch and after. Thanks again for your help.
Awesome. Okay, so you got two choices. You can leave your dog in place and just let your dog kind of sit and simmer, and you know, maybe your dog just struggles with those kind of interactions. It's too much. Or if you want to address it, which it sounds like you do, whether it's leash and prong or e-collar, you got to have one of those tools on. You're using leash and prong, so you might as well let your dog drag it around. Put your dog in place. When you want to release your dog, break or whatever your release is, and then bring your dog over to the people. And then as soon as you start getting nutty behavior, right, it's all arousal, excitement stuff. As soon as you start getting some arousal and excitement from your dog just, their brains start to scramble and they just kind of go bananas. Give a pop on the leash. Now, the pop on the leash isn't saying you can't be friendly and you can't say hi to people. It's saying how you can do it. It's what kind of level of intensity and arousal can you interact with people. So I'd bring her over on a leash and prong, do. As long as she's polite, I don't say anything, I don't do anything. The second that she starts to even like get too wiggly, she doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to trespass on somebody. As soon as the arousal gets high, just no, and give a nice firm pop on the leash, and then let her go back to mingling. It's your job just to cultivate what you like, what you deem is appropriate, and what's not appropriate.
Right.
Correct the inappropriate stuff, and she'll get the message very clearly. No yelling or anything just like that. If anything, just no, nice, calm no, and then give it a nice, quick pop. And of course, the rules are always, whether it's an e-collar or a prong collar, let the dog tell you what level is valuable, right? So if you pop on the prong collar and the behavior continues, it's too soft. If you pop on the e-collar and the behavior continues, it's too soft. So then find the right level where it actually matters to your dog and your dog values it and prioritizes what you're looking for. Cool? We cool?
Yeah,
We're cool.
cool.
All right.
Help it. That was so funny. Okay, question 4. This is from Herb Stanley of Morgan Stanley. We're getting
We
into investing.
We need some investment advice. there's actually some stuff we've been looking into.
So
Comments.
let us know in the comments below. We're reaching here, but
It's
it
all
doesn't
possible,
hurt to.
right? It's a small world, right? We could really
Hey
make
guys,
out.
this could
we
be
could
a
make out
huge,
after this session.
Yeah, we got free washers. We got free advice on
Financial stuff.
financial. I was trying to think of investing. That was the word.
Right.
I mean, sky's the limit. All right, Herb Stanley. Hi guys, thanks so much for opening up to our questions every week. I bought your DVD and we are 3 weeks in. I'm proud to say
awesome.
my
Thanks.
dog and I are making tons of progress. Awesome. Okay, down to business. Smiley face. My pup is an Australian cattle mix rescue. She's getting a good handle on the prong basics, place, sit down thresholds. Her walk and heel are coming along great. Her problem is she's extremely touch sensitive and can't take more than a pat on the head before spinning or moving around. As soon as there's physical contact, she will freak out and lick whatever she can extensively, almost like a sensory overload. Would you guys have any tips on an extreme licker and overall extra sensitive dog? I have not gotten around to getting her on the electric collar yet. Thanks so much.
Is it herb or
Herb.
It's
Well, herb.
No.
It's probably
Herb is something you cook with, right? We're really like finding a lot of gaps this weekend. A lot of gaps. It's all right.
It could be either.
I think it's
Herb.
I think it's herb.
Probably herb.
So Herb, seeing as you're a human and not something that we're going to cook with, we'll call you by your right name. So for the touch sensitive dog, I don't know what happened to her. For the touch sensitive dog, okay. So as long as it's not discomfort that your dog is experiencing, like if it feels like excitement, that's one thing. If it feels like your dog is uncomfortable with it, then I would say have a doctor look at it and see what's going on. If there's any weird, dogs can have all sorts of different stuff, with touch or with pain and things like that. But it doesn't sound like that's what you're saying. It sounds like it's more of kind of a, like you said, sensory overload, like more excitement issue stuff. So that's an interesting one. It sounds, once again, you've heard me say this word a few times, arousal. Overly aroused dogs tend to do overly aroused things, like that kind of like hyper licking thing, or jumping on people, or just overly wiggly or whatever it is. So I think if I was you, he's using our DVD, right?
Yeah,
In our
prong stuff. No e-collar yet.
I would really take a look at leaving the leash and prong on, and working through that stuff, right? And which might sound weird, but I'd probably put my dog in a sit, and then just kind of like do a light touch, and if it creates some pretty extreme reaction, then I'd pop, right? And it might sound unfair or weird or awkward to be correcting for that, but we're not correcting so much like bad dog. We're correcting more of like trying to teach the dog to manage arousal and learn how to deal with that in a different way. So I'd be very curious, if it's not a physical thing, if you don't feel like your dog is uncomfortable or has anything going on in that sense, then I would definitely start addressing it, because 99 out of 100 times, just watching your face, are you everything all right? You look,
Yeah. I have stuff to say. I'm trying to remember.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. You looked very intense for a second. 99 times out of 100, it's an arousal issue and it's an impulse control issue. So leash and prong and give a quick pop, and let your dog settle, and then go back to touch again, and then address, let the dog settle, then go back. My suspicion is that you can probably, within a couple of days, work your dog into a different gear where that touch is not creating that response with that. Do you agree?
Totally. Yeah, I was just going to say, I was just looking at your thing. You say you're 3 weeks in, which is a good amount of time, but maybe not so much for her with her sensitivity. So what we do, like we had this dog Xena who was extremely touch sensitive on her back legs. And in the first week or so, I mean, you couldn't even walk by her back legs without her spinning her butt around and getting all weird about it. Yeah. But she stayed with us for 3 weeks, I believe. And by the end of the 3 weeks, I mean, she was, and this is us doing like a board and train, so you're not doing quite the same amount of intensity. But it took, until like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks in for her to like, no problem with any touch stuff. But you would have thought, and we actually checked to make sure she didn't have any physical things going on with her back legs. So you may see just with a ton of this foundation, duration for this dog. Because that licking stuff and all that stuff, that probably isn't connected to anything physical. It's probably just much more of an obsessive kind of anxious, nervous behavior. So by continuing the foundation, eventually getting on e-collar, which would be awesome for you, but then just doing a ton of duration and just a ton of structure, this dog you should see those things fade away, over time.
Cool.
So,
yeah, I think so. Let us know, by the way, because it's kind of an interesting one. It's not a question we get all the time.
Yeah.
So I'd be very curious. Manny. I'd be very curious. A lot of licking going on here. We started talking about licking. Everybody got inspired.
There you go.
So I'd be really curious to see what you get and what works. And so would you do us a favor? Let us know when what you see in the next couple of weeks. Right?
Yeah. And eventually e-collar would be great. Nervous dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question 5. Coralie evoques.
Oh, I don't have that same last name. I have Coralie Frail.
Why?
Oh, because I mixed
you
the
mixed
wrong
them
names.
up. No.
Joshua. Sorry, Joshua. That's
Evoques.
okay.
Evoques. Coralie. She says, "Hi guys.
Hey.
I adopted a rescue about 6 months ago. He's a 2-year-old American Bulldog mix. I was wondering how much I should let him sniff and mark on walks. How do I know if he actually needs to go or if he just wants to mark? Is he dog reactive? He is dog reactive. We're working on it, so I can't let him off leash anywhere but in my backyard where there's nothing else but his own smell. Thanks so much, guys. I hope this will help other people as well."
Okay.
Thanks, Coralie.
Coralie, so here's the way we do it with all this stuff. So we do a 90-10 structured walk, right? Dogs can hold the potty. It's not like, of course, if you come out after like a 9-hour, sleeping all night, then I'd probably let the dog go straight away. But other than that, then it's structured walk. It's no sniffing, no marking, no targeting, and I don't know if there's any other rules.
No staring, no lunging, no barking, all those things. But basic sniffing, marking, targeting.
Other dogs. So keep your dog on the straight and narrow. Get your dog just working on that heel really nice in the structured walk. And then think of the rules of the structured walk being 90-10. So 90% of the time, or I would say 90% over the complete duration of your walk, your dog is walking in a perfect heel next to you. And then 10% interspersed throughout that walk at your discretion. When you release your dog, then give your dog the whole leash. Don't drop the leash, hold on to it, but give him the whole length of the leash and say whatever your release command is for potty, go potty, and then let him do his thing. And if he's got to go, he'll go. And if he doesn't, if he's sniffing around if he's sniffing around or snipping around and doing a bunch of window shopping, then I would just say, hey, heel, call him back into heel, and get moving. So it's a pretty easy one once you give the dog the breaks. So the difference is we can either let the dog sniff and mark and do that stuff on his own and on his own permission, which will cause issues in the training and issues in the relationship and most likely behavioral stuff with a reactive dog. Is the last thing you want. Or he can do the sniffing and marking on your cue, on your permission. So he still gets to do those, but he does them in a healthy way rather than an unhealthy way. So with dog reactive dogs, on that walk needs to be your walk. Heavily structured, lots of rules, your dog looking to you for permission. Can I go potty now? Can I do this? That's what you need your dog looking to you. If you're out there and you're allowing any kind of willy-nilly walk stuff, think about it this way. The dog, I always say this, the dog that can pull to a tree or pull to a bush to pee is the same dog that feels that they can bark, lunge, or react to another dog. So it's all totally connected. So 90-10, make it highly structured, and your dog goes potty on your release, he'll be fine. All right? Is it Coralie? Thanks, Coralie.
Okay. We've got question number 6. This is Joshua Friel. Hey guys, my 2-year-old dog has anxiety while riding in the car. She gets in the car fine. Once I start driving, she pants, whines, and occasionally vomits. I have done duration work down while driving, but she still pants and shakes, but doesn't break the down. I've used down because she equates down with being calm, but it's not working to calm her. Whenever I arrive at my destination, the panting and shaking stops. She's not allowed in or out of the car unless she's calm. Any thoughts on how to make a car ride more pleasant for her? P.S. When I first adopted her, she wouldn't get in the car, and we worked through that.
Okay. So thanks for the question, Joshua. It's a tough one. It sounds like your dog came with some car anxiety issues, and you managed to get over the big humps. as far as like the major resistance, but your dog is still uncomfortable with it. It's a common thing. There's a lot of dogs, like really great dogs out there, that get in cars and they just have a hard time with it for whatever reason. But what I want you to think about is just like there's also, adults and kids that have a hard time with motion sickness stuff. So your dog could have issues with that, and that could have actually triggered the major resistance to the car, because your dog might know, like, when I get in cars, I feel really crappy and feel really sick. So I would honestly, it sounds like you're doing all the right work training-wise with the duration work and teaching your dog, just basic foundation stuff. I'd actually go see a doctor, and I'd see if there's any medical recommendations, like Dramamine for dogs. I don't know if you can do Dramamine for dogs. I think you can. And I know I've had clients with issues with car sickness stuff, and I know they found ways around it through medication. And then of course, if you got a long drive, you could do some kind of anti-anxiety medication to help your dog out. So we're by no means like the throw medication at every dog situation, but it sounds like you've already done a bunch of stuff. It sounds like your dog came with some issues towards the car. There might be just a physical component. It might just be a physical thing here where your dog is uncomfortable and has motion sickness. And if you get some Dramamine or something on board, might be able to sort it out and then make your dog really actually enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. It's a good way. I mean, the figuring out, making sure it's not a medical thing, and then just kind of working through after that and seeing where you get.
Yep.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know how that works out.
Question 7. This is from...
You see me almost. I'm starting to get all...
Oh, yeah. It's about 24 hours.
Someone's got bad allergies.
Bad allergy, O'Shea.
Sneezy McGreasy. And I'm on some Claritin right now, but it's feeling
it's just
like I can starting.
Yeah.
I can see
I'll go
my
grab
nose.
you one.
We'll
Okay.
see how I do. Hopefully I make it through without.
Question
bloating.
7.
Yes, go ahead.
This is from our buddy.
What?
What?
The frequent flyer?
He needs a frequent flyer
The
card.
good dog frequent flyer?
We actually have some other frequent flyers as well.
Yeah.
Artem, our buddy. Question 7.
The
Hello,
Ukrainian
Sean and
connection.
Laura. I will get my first e-collar next week. My lazy dog just can't wait to have it on. And of course, it's a mini educator. Yay!
Yep.
So I think I took off one part. He had a two-parter, so I just picked one of the questions.
Sorry, Artem. You get trimmed down, buddy.
Well, I already know a lot from you about how to introduce e-collar to the dog properly, and usually you do this by doing e-collar recall.
Yeah.
But I still have 2 questions about e-collar introducing to the dog. 1 question. Is there any other way to introduce the e-collar? If the dog, for example, is very familiar with the place command, can I introduce the e-collar through place command? And what is the difference between the ways how we introduce e-collar to the dog from the dog's point of view? Is recall the most understandable for the dog, or what is it? This is a very on-point question, by the way.
Artem, you knocked my socks off, buddy. Yeah, this is a great question, and it's timely because we're shooting our e-collar DVD, which is big news. We're shooting our e-collar DVD at the end of this month, and it's going to be a knock your socks off extravaganza. We've got a whole amazing crew and amazing shoot going on. It's gonna be awesome. But we're also shaking some things up as far as what we're going to be doing, the order of training and introducing the collar, specifically so it's easier for regular owners, not people that are dog enthusiasts out training every day. So what I'm getting at, Artem, is that yes, you can condition the dog to any of the commands. You could do sit, find the dog's working level, and then leash on the dog, sit, press the button, guide the dog up with a little bit of leash pressure, butt hits the ground, button goes off, the dog goes, oh man, that's oh, thank you. Got some Claritin coming down the pike. So you could do it with sit, you could do it with down, but I wouldn't recommend it with those. I think those exercises are a little bit, they're very short, and I think the clarity, because your question was, is there one that's better to teach with? And what I find, so here's the 3 that we tend to go with. We do either recall, we do recall, we do e-collar heel, or we do place command. And I think all of those work really well. I haven't found myself any one of them that yields a better training result and one that causes less clarity about what the command means or what the e-collar means. So I think it's really about just that simple conversation of pressure on, guide the dog into position, pressure goes away when the dog's in position, and that becomes a very clear conversation for the dog that, oh, that's how I turn the e-collar off. I mean, it's basic escape training. So there's part of me that says, with the recall, the long line recall, that maybe there's even more like depth of clarity because the dog, it's a longer distance, it's a longer duration, like kind of resolving the exercise, a little bit more involved. But I haven't seen anything that would make me say that's the way you should do it. We do e-collar heel all the time to start dogs off, and they're all, you see all the dogs here, they're all bouncing around doing their thing. So we're actually probably going to go into in our DVD, we're probably going to go e-collar place first. And then start recalling. This is top secret, so don't make me come to the Ukraine and shake you down. But
it's not really top secret anymore now.
Okay. So we're probably going to look at doing e-collar place because it'll be easier for owners, and then be able to recall the dog off of place, because one of the other components that's challenging with e-collar recall is that dogs that have already been previously trained, sensitive to the leash pressure or proximity to their owner, don't like to wander away, and then you're trying to like do this dance the whole time to like get away from the dog so you can recall them. And so if that's the case, like teaching the dog sit first and then recalling the dog out of sit, but we're going to augment that and probably do e-collar place and then recall the dog out of that. And then once the dog's super solid inside the house, then we're going to transfer it to outside. So the cool thing about this is you don't have to do it like big outside recalls to make great stuff happen. You can do it in a really small environment, get the dog really straight on what the commands and e-collar mean, and then you can transfer it outside, and it's like, oh, it's all there. You just have to proof it. So hopefully that answers your question. I think you can do all of the different all the different behaviors, but I would probably I probably wouldn't use sit or down as my first ones. I'd probably do something that's a little bit more involved, like, not that you couldn't, but I would do e-collar heel, place, or recall. Cool? Thanks, buddy.
Yay.
Stay warm out there.
Okay, question 8. This is from Emma Birchall.
Hey, Emma.
She says, hey,
Blowing up over here.
so a new puppy is coming home in 2 weeks. Is it acceptable for my current dog, who's a good dog and about 8 years old?
Thank God. Clarity.
Good with other dogs. So her current dog is 8 years old. He's good
Yep.
with other dogs, chill, neutral guy.
Yep.
So is it okay for that dog to growl at the new pup when she goes near him? If he's chewing a bone or toy, etc.? I mean, I don't want to punish him for growling, but his resource guarding towards dogs is mild or moderate.
Mm-hmm.
We do all the foundation stuff, and he's an awesome dog in every other way. I'm just wondering about how we should respond when a new puppy encroaches on his space. I do my very best to keep puppy away from him, but is management my only solution? Background, we frequently have young puppies in my house for boarding, so I know how he reacts, but our puppy's coming home in 2 weeks.
Great. Okay, so this is a really good question, and it really depends on your dog, right? So with my guys, I really trust them. They're all, I've got Junior who's 15, Belle who's 8 or 9, Manny who's 5 going on 110 because he's the laziest guy in town. But they're all really solid with other dogs, and I trust their instincts with other dogs. And it seems with the older dogs, they're pretty darn good at correcting and giving information to puppies. So as long as your dog is, everything you describe, your dog is really stable, makes really good choices, really solid and social. And so what your dog is doing with the puppy is setting puppy boundaries, which is actually really good stuff. So as long as those boundaries look appropriate, as long as he's not damaging the puppy, I'm totally down for it. Because usually I say don't let dogs work it out. This is one of those few contexts where with the right dog, a puppy interaction with an older adult dog setting those boundaries is a really cool thing, because they do it better than we do in a lot of ways. And so it'll teach that puppy to be more respectful. Now, if you see things getting out of hand and you see the conversation not landing with the puppy and your adult dog is getting more intense about it, then you might have to step in and do something about it. But it doesn't sound like that. I don't think you're going to have problems with it. So my recommendation would be let that older guy, within reason, as long as it's being appropriate, set up some boundaries for that pup, and your puppy will quickly learn. I mean, Junior does it all the time, even with like non-puppies that come in here and they're like getting to his face and he's like, "Arr." And so it's just, that's how dogs communicate. As long as they're being appropriate with it, it's cool.
Yeah.
Cool?
All right. Not question 9. It's just for fun, quickly, from Lindsay Ray Fontaine.
Yeah.
She kind of asked the question, but it's not real, so we're not we can just give a quick answer.
Okay.
Should I have taught my dog recall on e-collar before heel? Basically, I took him to the park on a long line. He just followed me around. I had to throw a stick for him to get him the heck away from me so I could call him over. She says, this isn't a real question, just a weird way to say thanks again.
That's awesome. Okay, so Lindsay Ray Fontaine?
Yeah, Lindsay.
Lindsay, that's awesome. So,
Quick
she
answer.
taught her dog heel first?
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, the thing is you taught your dog heel first, and that means be right next to me. So it's not surprising that your dog is like, I gotta be right next to you.
Right.
So what I would do is I would teach some stuff like downstays and teach your dog, like that he can be away from you.
Yeah.
And then do some recalls like that. I know you're celebrating it, you're not really upset about it. But what I would do is to get your dog back in balance is make sure that he gets used to being able to be away from you. When you do teach recall, don't constantly recall him back. Make sure he gets enough time being able to forge out so he's like, okay, I can actually do that. Because if you correct him every time he goes out, he's going to eventually just stay in a little bubble, which is what kind of the heel command has taught your dog already. Thank you.
All right. Question number 9. This is from Instagram. The handle is A Full House. The question is,
This is from John Stamos.
Oh my gosh. Is this John Stamos?
Please put it in the comments. If this is
Comments
John.
below if you're John Stamos. You don't have to
We
say
need
it
a sign-
outright.
we need a
just
signed
just a
autograph
sign.
picture.
But also just a sign, like some sort of
Reference
yes.
to a
yeah.
reference to an
To-
obscure episode or something.
Exactly. Like, what would Michelle say if someone was being rude? No, that's the other girl. Wait. All right. We'll talk about it later, John. All right. My pups are friendly towards people and each other. How do I introduce them to other dogs? Also, not sure what to do when we're on walks and other dogs who are not on a leash or in a fence come charging out at us. Thank you.
This is A Full House. So
John.
John. So for off-leash dogs, you have to decide how you want to approach it, right? So I'm pretty stern with that stuff just because I've seen a lot of clients come through here with dog issues, dog reactivity, dog aggression stuff because their dogs have been bum rushed when they've been on walks. So I'm pretty firm about recommending to clients and my own dogs that I don't let any dogs come running up to us off leash. And it sounds like that's what you're looking for as well. So there's a variety of things you can do. I usually I'll put my dogs behind me and I'll use either a pet convincer, which is CO2 compressed air, which works really well for like 99% of dogs. Just a quick psh, and the dogs will typically scatter. I've managed to avoid a lot of little dogs jumping into big dogs' mouths just by using those or using that. You could use pepper spray if you're in an area where it's really like combative and challenging. What else? You can use a walking stick. I know some people use that. We have friends that are trainers that live like in the third world of it's not really the third
Free
world,
dogs.
but like lots of like my friend in Curtis is where in Kentucky or no?
No, he's in Clarksville,
Tennessee. And he has to like carry heavy gadgetry to try and, it's literally a war zone out there when he's walking dogs. So hopefully you don't have, he's probably in Hollywood in the hills. So,
Yeah, exactly.
So you probably shouldn't have anything that heavy duty.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's John.
Right. So, you could always, with your budget, you could always hire bodyguards for your dogs
true.
to just kind of travel along with you.
Just whatever you want.
But I would go for some tools like that. Just get a pet convincer. Get Pet Convincer 2 off Amazon. They're like $30, and I always carry one when we go to the park, and they work really, really well to keep dogs away. It's a great, easy, cheap choice that doesn't cause any harm to the dog, so you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to worry about like any of these big major lawsuits because you're a famous guy and they won't see deep pockets or anything like that. Yeah. And then the other part was
how to introduce
dogs. So typically, if I'm trying to introduce dogs, I just walk them together. It's really easy, low pressure way for dogs just to get comfortable and familiar. A lot of times, dog issues stem from dogs being excited, stressed out, and then trying to figure things out too quickly when they haven't had a chance to get to know each other, and then they make a bad choice. So just take if I don't know what your situation is, but take a couple dogs, whatever they are, for a walk. Let them just stroll with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got any concerns about them being having any dastardly intentions, then you've got to really walk them in a really structured fashion.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole protocol for that, which I can't really get into right now, but I would say just do a nice walk, see what you get from the dogs. If the dogs are all comfortable and
They're all
nobody cares
friendly,
about each
yeah.
other, then you don't have to really worry. Then you could bring the dogs in the backyard and you supervise. Your pet convincer could be a super helpful tool if anybody gets, in an accelerated, excited state. It's a great way to break that down. So start with a walk, see what you get. If anybody looks tense or nervous or upset, then they're probably not ready to be meeting. If they all look like they're all having a great time, then you can let them off in the backyard and keep a real close eye and supervise and see what you get. Introducing dogs, social stuff. There's always an element of risk because dogs are dogs, and you can always get there can always be trouble. So just be careful and try and really read the dogs really well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good one.
Call us, John.
We're in your neighborhood. Okay. Question 10. This is question 10 from Instagram. Jordan B.
That's a hard one.
Yeah. Or Jordan ELEB. Hey, Sean and Laura.
Hey.
After luckily stumbling upon you guys and your awesome work, I feel so lucky to have found you. Yay.
Thanks.
I have a 7-month-old lab mix, and she's been leash and collar trained, but she's not yet on an e-collar. Anyways, she's great with commands when she's on leash. I heels with a great automatic sit, does sit down, place on her thresholds, will wait for food, and does the crate. Great dog.
Yeah.
Luckily,
nice
she's
work already.
Yeah, she's really been testing boundaries. For example, she'll step 2 feet off the placemat and look at me with a haha, technically I'm still on the mat look, which sometimes requires up to 5 firm corrections before she complies. She's also really bad about aimlessly wandering the house as if she's looking for something to get into, which often ends her getting into the garbage or stealing things off counters. I'm just wondering how much of this is normal puppy behavior or lack of stimulation, even though she goes for long walks, plays long games of fetch, along getting meals from food puzzles, and much more.
Goodness.
How realistic is it for her to become more calm around the house? Yeah, you literally are. How realistic is it for her to become more calm around the house at her age? If it's a reasonable goal, how do I get her to cool her jets into a calmer state of mind? Please help. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'm guessing e-collar.
Is that what she said?
Yeah. Smarty pants.
So I mean, e-collar. We're big fans of e-collar, and I think we feel like every dog should come with one because then no owners have to be frustrated, and dogs can all behave really well, and you can have freedom and take your dogs off leash places, and so that's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
But to answer your question directly, your dog is getting all of its needs met from everything you described.
Yeah.
You're like the super awesome dog owner. And mental stimulation, physical activity, all that stuff. It's time to set some rules, and it's time to hold that dog accountable for some rules. Doesn't mean that your dog can't still be a pup and have fun, but there needs to be a little more balance, I think. I think it can be a hard one to discern when they're that young, what's appropriate, and like what kind of discipline and how much duration and all that stuff. But we get puppies in here, we had Purple in here at 4 months, and she was, doing full e-collar train, and she was doing duration work. And would she rather be like swinging from the chandelier and like going bananas?
I want to swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier. I want to fly like. Oh.
Okay. So yes.
Play the song, we'll play it.
So Purple would have loved to have been doing other stuff that pups want to do, but she was more than capable of learning structure, rules, and discipline, and being an awesome dog. So at 4 months old, she was completely off-leash trained, completely reliable, and super awesome with duration work and things like that. And that's 4 months. So your dog should have no problem doing some more of this stuff. I would ask for more compliance. I would start to share firmer rules, and I would make that stuff pretty darn non-negotiable so your dog gets it and stops pushing against the rules so it can relax into it. And then make sure you keep up all the other good stuff. Sorry, dogs digging their nails into me. All the other good stuff that you're doing, the fun stuff, the play, the stimulation, everything like that. But it's time to start asking a little bit more of that dog. You don't want to wait until it's older and then you're really trying to work against a bunch of other more challenging stuff. So let's get that stuff on board. Let's start treating it more like an adult dog, and start setting firmer boundaries. Of course, if you go to the e-collar, it's really a step above as far as You typically don't see as much breaking. You know, your dog knows with leash and prong like that you need to be close to correct, and your dog, is it a lab?
Stubborn stuff.
A lot of these dogs, you know, can be kind of tough with the prong collar, and you might think that you're correcting firm, and the dog is like that's not even registering. So might be time for another tool. Not that you couldn't do it without the e-collar, because you absolutely can, but you just have to make sure that you're letting the dog tell you what kind of pressure when you correct is valuable for the dog. And the way you know that is by the dog's behavior changing. So that's what I do with the leash and prong. Treat your dog more like an adult dog in the training sense. Keep doing all the other awesome stuff you're doing, and then if you want to go to e-collar, same rules apply. Treat it like an adult dog, but you'll probably see a lot more. You'll see the behavior kind of accelerate as far as the compliance and all that good stuff, because then the dog knows the long arm of the law is on them at all times. That changes everything. So
if you just want to use the prong, if you're doing like a straight up correction, you can also try doing the correction to the side with a little bit more of a pop. Like just, you know, the leash can almost be like at the top of the neck or kind of like down here, and you might get a
pop
more...
to the side is way more valuable than a pop up or down or something like that. So quick and sharp, right? Not some, but quick and sharp to where your dog goes, whew, really want to get their attention. Right. Yes, I want to stay on this place command.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
We're gonna sign off now, guys. I've got actually a consult phone call, so I don't have time for going down
just this song.
memory lane.
No,
here.
it's not a memory lane.
Guys, Sean O'Shea from The Good Dog, Rosie the Riveter, also known as Lovely Rosie the Riveter.
By the way, I was looking it up, and it is the girl who says, "Oh, you knew that." Oh.
We weren't disagreeing with that. We were just disagreeing with everything else you said. Anyways, guys, this is Q&A, The Good Dog's Q&A Saturday.
Number
Thank you so
18.
much for joining us. Number 18, we're almost ready for syndication here in retirement. The question of the day is...
Did anyone else know who Rosie the Riveter is?
Come with it, guys. Come with it. Come on. Show me what you guys know. I know you guys
what about
know your
those
history
under
out there.
30?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter? Okay.
It's not an excuse to be dumb.
All right. Okay.
All right, guys.
Love you.
See ya.